Welcome to Sari, Conversations with Mimi, a weekly podcast by Social, also a member of the Guerrilla Podcast Syndicate. Sari is where we can show that ordinary people do extraordinary things. Tune in to be entertained and to learn something new with your host, Mimi Guerrilla. Hi, everybody, and welcome to Sari, the podcast show of Mimi Guerrilla. I am your host, Mimi, and today we have another international guest. And as you will see, my location is different, so this is kind of like a live but recorded on location kind of podcast because we have an international guest and there are internet issues at home. So I decided to interview him while I'm in my car. So I would like to let you guys know that Sari is a program, is a podcast where we feature guests who talk about their passion, their talents, their profession, so that we can inspire you to do also good things in your life. And here at Sari, we make sure that we feature stories where ordinary people do extraordinary things. And today is no different. I am in the presence of a holy person. And I'm very proud of him because he's one of the very few Filipinos who were who studied and got ordained in New Zealand. And now he's a full-fledged parish priest of St. Joseph's in Levin, in the North Island. So kasama pa naman yung Levin sa Wellington region, Father, ano? So I'd like to welcome you, Father Dennis Nacorda. Say hi to my listeners and viewers of Sari Conversations with Mimi podcast.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for listening to this podcast of Ate Mimi. This is my first time to be interviewed, actually. So hopefully I can help you or encourage you with whatever we will be talking tonight.
Yes, Father. I'm pretty sure that's why I only get the experts in my show. Next naman. Because I know that this is not about me asking you questions, pero our end goal here is to really educate and inform our viewers and our listeners about a lot of different things that are happening around us. So, Father, just to let you know that last year, season 1, I interviewed a smorgasbord of people all over the world then. But this year, season 2 of Sari podcast showcase the online world. So I'm talking to freelancers, I'm talking to online business owners, I'm talking to virtual assistants, or anybody has a component of their life in an online world. Because as we all know, 1 year on after the pandemic, naka-online pa rin tayo. Parang hindi pa rin fully going back to the new normal, whatever the new normal is. And I'm pretty sure I'm 100% sure na one of the ways by which we coped during the pandemic last year was through our faith, or whatever it is, whether it's Christianity or whether people are practicing another religious belief. I really want this episode to focus on your life as a priest, your life doing online masses, your parish, and I'm one of those who regularly followed you on YouTube last year. Every time you put your online mass out, nanonood talaga ako. I followed your YouTube channel. So, Father, can you please, before we talk about online masses, para makilala ka pa ng audience natin, can you tell us a little bit about yourself? Paano kayo napadpad sa New Zealand? How you decided to become a priest? Just to get to know Father Dennis a little bit.
Yeah. All right. Before I entered the seminary, I used to be a vet in the Philippines, and I worked for 3 years. I used to work in Manila, but I didn't last long in Manila because I think the lifestyle in Manila was just too hard for me. So I decided to go back to Bohol. That's where I came from, Bohol. And so I worked there in the government for 2 to 3 years. And then when I made the decision to enter the seminary, I went to Tagaytay. And then in Tagaytay, I finished AB theology, and then I was sent to Japan for a pastoral exposure. And then eventually I ended up in New Zealand, and in New Zealand for good. So here in New Zealand, I studied again in Auckland, the Good Shepherd College, and then I was ordained deacon while studying, and then sent to Upper Hutt, and that's where I met you.
Yes.
And yeah, that was my first appointment in the local Upper Hutt. Yeah. Mm.
Yep.
Yeah, from then on, I worked in different parishes. I was in Kapiti, then to Newtown, and then I was the hospital chaplain for a year. And then when they started amalgamating churches, I was in Wellington South, and eventually last year I was sent to study Tereo Maori in Otaki for a year. So now they asked me to look after St. Joseph Church in Leven. So I'm
Yeah.
now the parish priest of St. Joseph Leven.
Wow. Congrats, Father. Can you give us a little
Mm.
bit of a flavor? Ano po ang composition or demographics ng inyong parishioners in Levin? And how is the community like? Are they active like what we had in Upper Hutt? Or what sort of things are you innovating, instituting in your parish?
It is actually very much like the other parishes. It is very much multicultural, uh, but it's just like outside the city setting. It's just a rural parish, but with multicultural parishioners. We have many Samoans, Tongans, Kiribati from the Pacifics, and then Indian and Filipinos from Asia, and then we have a Maori community as well, and then the rest, the Westerners. Yeah,
Yeah.
so it's a pretty mixed community, and it's actually uh, it's a growing community. I can see a lot of children, and we've got a school as well, St. Joseph School, and yes, and it's pretty, I would say, very much alive, so to say,
Mm.
because it's not. It's a reflection of when you look at the people in the mass. It's you can see the reflection of every age represented in the mass.
Mm.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm very happy with that. Yeah.
So, because you are also a relatively young, Father, compared to the other priests in New Zealand, you bring that certain younger vibe. So everything is fresh, fresh perspective, and if you have a very supportive multicultural community, I'm pretty sure there's a lot of exciting things that are happening in your parish. Ngayon, Father, as we all know, last year when COVID hit us, obviously New Zealand is one of those countries that first instituted a full lockdown, no? Talagang super strict ang New Zealand. I was also following New Zealand in the news, and no wonder there's so much success in terms of the government's program to really put the COVID numbers down. And because of New Zealand's isolation from a lot of other countries, hindi naging mahirap na i-shut down yung borders ninyo. And at the same time, yun ngang uh, implementation ng COVID program, marami talagang percentage. There's a huge or high percentage of people that really followed everything to a T. Konti lang siguro ang mga naysayers. Everybody was fully on board. So, that's the main or general or socio-political aspects of the vaccine. Now, I want a vaccine, Father, the COVID. Wala pang ang vaccine nung last year. So, I want to talk about the life of a parish during lockdown and the life of a parish during COVID that you had to transition to move online. Paano po yung naging process? How was that process for you? Did the archdiocese or somebody higher than the parish priest order all the churches to shut down also and start going online? Give us the scenario in New Zealand at that time, Father.
Uh, I think when Jacinda declared lockdown, we were told to shut our churches up actually, so no one was allowed to get in, and so for a few days we were kind of, so to say, having a bit of break, enjoying that lockdown. But we realized that our ministry doesn't stop there.
Yes.
We realized that we need to do something and be innovative or creative in our ways of ministering to people. And so we decided to have. I mean, Father Raymond and I was together at that time. We decided to have an online mass, and then we tried to look at our technologies, and we were a bit taken aback that our technology were not good enough to have
Mm.
a live stream mass. And so we tried to look at using cell phone instead, and cell phone was very helpful actually. Yeah, a tiny thing, but it's really powerful and a good tool for evangelization too. And
Mm.
so we decided to have masses recorded earlier and then put and upload it in YouTube, and then we share it to every parishioners in the parish. And I think that was effective because people were always looking at the internet for to how to connect to the church.
Mm.
And so we started to create a Facebook page for the parish aside from the YouTube page that I have. And so and then people started asking masses every day online. And so we realized that yes, people are actually seeking ways to celebrate mass, even if it's just a virtual mass for them because they're not there in person. But
Mhm.
actually, they were looking for that opportunity to attend mass, even if it's online. So, and they were wondering if they were also happy that they can have it in local setting rather than going in the internet and look for masses from the US or somewhere. And
That's right.
but they wanted local, yeah. So we're able to do that. And yeah, and in those times as well, when we were in lockdown, because I'm the youngest of the two of us, I was the youngest. So I was the one that actually able to roam around and check on people. And
Uh,
so yeah, so I had this permit to be able to see people around and help them in their groceries or whatever. So yeah, so yeah, we became busy because we have to ring everyone if they are doing all right, in their mental health as well, being isolated.
mm.
And yes, it made us still busy, but yeah, the internet had really helped us a lot in that sense. Yeah.
Mhm. Father, I didn't realize that you were only using your phone. Because my husband and I, every time we watch you, we thought you had a proper video camera attached to YouTube or your computer so that you can stream it. Actually, what you just said right now is you're just recording it and then you're uploading it. We
Yeah,
thought you're doing a live, and then obviously after the live it's automatically recorded. So you spend maybe a dedicated time during the day just for the recording. Is that how you
yeah,
do it? And then you upload it at a certain time of the day.
yeah. We have a premiere time as well. Like you usually upload it at 10. I mean, the premiere is at 10. We have mass at 7, and so and then after the recording, I upload it in the YouTube and then
Mm.
premiere it at 10, so that
Ah,
it
okay.
will come out at the same time. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
Father, I have a question later on about the other things that you do aside from doing the masses. But let's focus first on online. So there was a time when you stopped doing online. And I text messaged you, and then you said because we're going back to church. So there's no need to continue
Yeah.
online. But then there was another round where you had to go on a lockdown again. So how was that process like for you? Shouldn't you have decided to continue those online masses, lockdown or no lockdown, as an additional service?
Yeah, yeah, it was a bit confusing for us because we thought that we were in control already of the COVID, and so we said, oh, we can go to mass anymore, and then even if level 2 100, the restriction was 100, and so we should be able to do that
Mm.
and manage it in within the right within 100. And then we realized that the cardinal wrote us a letter that he has a blanket rule for every churches in his diocese that even if you can manage it to 100,
Mm.
but uh, still you have to actually abide by what he instructed us
Mm.
to cancel all the masses anyway. He had given us this Oh, I forgot the term for that. Um, oh, I forgot the term. But he has given us the permission, other people in his diocese not to attend mass on Sunday.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So, Father, now that the situation has probably eased a little bit, how is the, what do you call that, attitude of people about going to church now? Are they more open about attending face to face now in New Zealand, especially in your parish?
In because we are in a rural setting and probably we don't have those. Um, we're a bit confident that not many are traveling far, and so in our mess, you will probably observe that we're doing as usual, the normal
Mhm.
things in Mass. The only not usual in there is that we don't have the holy water font in
Mm,
the at the entrance of the church, and also we don't have the blood for communion, just the
mhm.
body of Christ.
Yeah.
But the shaking of hands, yeah, people are still doing it.
Mhm.
Even if the cardinal said that, oh, you should refrain from shaking each other. You should be sitting in just within like a meter or two from each other. But now people didn't really care much about it.
Father, what about other services like the KBL, kasal, binyag, libing, funerals, weddings, baptism, and the regular reconciliation or confessions? What's the situation like for New Zealand at the moment and in your parish?
um, with the one-on-one reconciliation, as long as you maintain that distance, you are fine. Some churches adopted this communal reconciliation, wherein like the whole congregation will be in the church, but yeah, observe distances and do a one-off thing, so to say. But in my parish, we didn't do that, but we prefer having that lugging in, lugging out, so to
Mm,
say. What I did is I put a schedule in there for my time for reconciliation, and then when you would like to come, you can just put your name in there. Like
mhm.
the first 5 minutes or 10 minutes, you can put your name, and then that's your time. No
Yeah.
one will come in that time, and then once you're finished, and then the other one will come
Mhm.
in that time.
Okay.
So
So
it was effective in a sense that
yeah, it was just a simple system, Father, but it's effective. You don't need the QR code or the scanning app or something like that.
yeah, yeah, and they don't have to come together. Yeah,
Mm,
the thing is they can come at different times. Yeah.
that's right. But that's a regular thing that everybody in the parish knows, right?
Yeah, every Wednesday 7 to 9 p.m. and then
Mm.
Friday after mass, which is 1 to 3 p.m.
Okay. Father,
So they
let's go
can
back. Let's go back to the other thing that you mentioned a while ago, which is your, I don't know whether you call this an extension activity or an out of church activity. You mentioned that you and Father Raymond also had to check up on the parishioners. You at one point you had to go out and buy the groceries for them because they're not
yeah.
allowed to go out. Was that like just a personal decision on both your parts to assist them, or was that also mandated to be a part of the pastoral thing that you need to do to look after your parishioners?
Yeah, it just came out when we realized that they are actually, because living is also a retirement area
Mm,
for many, and so we realized that there are people living on their own, and also they are probably also in that age that they are vulnerable to the virus,
that's
and so I think they were told to keep themselves in there inside their houses or homes. And
mm,
so we realized that that can be a cause for loneliness. People will suffer being alone and lonely,
mm,
and so we started bringing them out, and also we started. I started to also. We realized that there were actually some needs in there, like for example, need to pick up their medication, need to do some groceries. And in that time, we realized that the supermarkets are actually very busy as well. So, and they were wanting to do some online shopping, so to say.
mm,
Yeah, and then nahirapan sila doon kasi every time they called, no one was attending to that call
Yes.
actually. So yeah,
Walang
because of COVID.
1-800 number. And even if there is, maybe the staff members are all busy doing their other
Yeah,
chores in the store.
yeah,
No one was
yeah.
tasked to man the phones. So, Father,
And
at that point na talagang marami kayong ibang ginagawa, ah, sa palagay nyo ba this pandemic brought your parishioners together? Naging united ba ang mga members ng parish? Were there community groups that assisted you to support the other parishioners? Or was
mm,
that like just you and Father Raymond doing everything for the church?
actually, like for example, St. Vincent de Paul have really stepped up their game.
Mhm.
They not only delivering food and goods to, they not preparing parcel and then I drop it off. They were also starting to realize that they are needing to develop another kind of ministry. So the young members of Descendants de Paul, uh, they were the ones doing the visiting as well. So
Mm.
we are now kind of carrying on what we did in the during the lockdown. We divided the place into like zones, so to say.
Mm.
Yeah, and so the people in our parish role, especially those that are on their own, they're the ones prioritized in the among the members. Yeah.
Yeah.
And also the sick ones. Yeah.
Yeah. Father, let's go back to the mass itself. As a priest that obviously you have to minister to the faithful and to the the spiritual needs of your parishioners. Did you honestly think that
Mm.
the online masses is as good as the face to face, or it would never replace the face to face experience? I'm more curious to learn about whether the
Yeah, it would
parishioners'
not.
faith changed or not as a result of the pandemic.
No, I would say that they really appreciate the face-to-face mass, being there in the mass. Why I say that because once we started saying mass, I thought that not many will show up, will turn
Mm.
up in the mass because of the changes that we had.
Mm.
But oh my God, the church was packed actually,
Mm.
and yeah, it's also I think they had truly appreciate the need to be in the situation, the mess, and also what I observe as well is that uh, the social and cultural the social dimension of being in the church is also missed by a lot of people. Like
Mm.
nung nag-umpisa kami ng misa, it was only that time they meet each other again, they saw each other
Mm.
again, and so the community spirit was back, so to say,
Mm.
and started telling stories,
Mm.
and so yeah, it was actually nice the first mass when people were there and they were happy seeing each other. They were, yeah, you can see that spirit so alive in them. Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think they are actually wanting to be in the church rather than in their houses to attend mass.
Of course, it's a different experience. Father, I watch also some online masses from the Philippines, and I also keep updated in terms of what's happening in that space. You know that recently the Sinulog, and late last year or early this year, the Nazareno, those
Yeah.
important liturgical, cultural events in the Philippines had to be modified para
Mm.
ma-practice ang social distancing, para makameno sa incidences of COVID. So that was, I think, for Manila, for the Nazareno alone, that was a huge change in all the years na nagkakagulo sila sa street, etc., etc. Meron bang mga activities? Are there also some activities in your parish, in your church that changed as a result of this, or totally canceled na silang lahat, or did you have to modify some of them to make sure that you can still celebrate?
Yeah, last year's Holy Week, it was
Yeah.
totally online.
Mm.
Everything was online, and yeah, what we did for the palms is deliver or pick it up, so to say. They can drop by and pick their palms and then go like that, and also uh, for communion, uh, um, we have like 10 communion ministers, but only those who are actually in need of communion that we, so to say, give them.
Mm,
We especially, I mean, those communion ministers or those visiting the sick are those that are actually fit enough and safe enough to do that. Yeah. So yeah, it changed a lot our system, and um uh yeah, I think the biggest change that happened, the cancellation that happened was really the Holy Week. That was the biggest cancellation we did.
mhm,
And after that, they lowered down the alert level to 1, and we started having mass again. And then we and then we were able to say mass until October, I think.
mm.
And we were quite happy that time that of the plans for October, the Rosary month, we were able to do Rosary in the church every day.
Yeah.
Mm,
Okay, at least
yeah.
naman kahit papano,
So what?
this changes. I think this will stay like this. When the COVID is up, cancel. When the COVID is down,
Mm,
go back to regular programming. It's really para ba siyang cat amongst the pigeons, Father, no? Parang nagugulantang tayo every time there are
mm,
changes like this. But in your honest assessment of people's faith, parang na-reread ko sa sinabi nyo kanina, Father, that they appreciate having fellowship in the church face to face. So does that
mm.
mean, or is that an indication to you, Father, that people are really strong in their faith, and no matter what form we practice our faith, nandiyan pa rin ang mga tao sa simbahan? COVID will not take them away from the church,
Mm.
Father.
Yeah, it is true, and I can affirm that as when I observe people in Leuven, particularly um, during lockdown, they are before they complain about it in the beginning. Why do we have to do that? And then I think that fear sinks in when Auckland started having many cases in Auckland, and they started to feel that yeah, we do need to do this, and so they didn't come to church anymore. They didn't ask for any mass in the church, and we were told by the cardinal to do the online mass in the church, do it in the presbytery instead,
Mm,
to let people know that you are not there in the church yourself. So
mm,
so we did transfer our masses to the presbytery, and that's where we have it. And yeah, I think church is a very important element in the faith of the people in Lebanon. Um, uh, when we started coming back to church, there were actually people in there that they were crying because uh, there were like one or two old parishioners, and their habit was there to come to church when they are free and pray
mm,
there and stay there, and they lost that opportunity. and
mm.
and for their life is that that's part of their routine every day, but they were not able to do it. So yeah, um and with the other parishioners, the youth, that's what we're not really connecting well during the lockdown, uh, because they were busy doing their stuff online. So
Mm,
the schooling was online, so we didn't have that much connection and activity for them and the children as well. But when we started having mass again, and we started the children's liturgy and the other activities for the kids and the now the youth, we're beginning to see them going back to church as well. So yeah, so I think during the lockdown, uh, they missed. I think for the older parishioners, they missed really the church. That's part
mm,
of their life and the many
yeah.
activities in the church that they were part of.
Yeah. I think, Father, with your comment about the youth, maybe the youth can also start creating some content of their own in your parish YouTube channel and Facebook page that is more aligned to whatever activities that they can share para they feel na online or not online they're still connected. And you know, youth are more creative. Baka marami pa silang mga techie ways, better techie ways of addressing your issues, Father. Baka pwede pa silang maging allies ninyo or mga participants in connecting with other youth then in the greater living area.
Yeah, we had a meeting last week with the parish council, and we created a group called communication, and also and youth committee, because we didn't really understand so much what will be the implication of this lockdown to the youth,
Yeah.
and only by forming the committee that we started to see that probably we can do something about it when it happens again.
Yeah. I do believe, Father, I like you said, you've got a very active community, lahat sila on board, and with you and Father Raymond talagang I can feel na magta-thrive talaga. Father, I still have more questions to ask, but I think that I have to go and end this program. Anyway, we
Yeah,
can have a part 2 if required, maybe after another
yeah,
year. Who knows?
yeah,
Or after
yeah.
6 months, like an update on what's happening in your parish and the situation about the online masses and the participation of the community. So, Father, do you have
Mm.
any last words about or last comments about our topic for today?
Yes, it was certainly a big change for most of the parishioners during the lockdown, but I think it also created a new insight of and also strengthened their faith of the belief of in their belief of the sacraments as well, and also their hunger for mass. But yes, the church needs to be innovative and creative in their approach in how to minister during the lockdown when when you are limited in our connection, so to say, face-to-face ministry. Um, yes, we are still grateful here in New Zealand that in a way we're not as bad as the others, so to say.
Mm,
We're very grateful for that opportunity that we can live as, so to say, with this new normal,
mm.
feeling not uh, that hope we're not as, so to say, how do you call that,
That is your
that feeling
new
too bad.
normal, Father.
Yeah, yeah,
That is your
yeah,
new normal. The somewhat
yeah,
semi and somewhat normal. It just depends on what's happening in the COVID situation.
yeah, yeah. Just one thing. Last year we're supposed to celebrate our 100 years as a parish,
Oh.
but we didn't do that because when uh, the focus was more on the COVID, and we forgot that we turned 100 last year.
Mm,
But then this year we realized that we need to do some celebration because this year is
mhm.
also a year of Saint Joseph, and
Yes.
so probably it was the end of the year. Hopefully, we're able to celebrate as 100 years of a parish as a parish.
Wow, that's exciting, Father. So,
Yeah,
share with us some videos as soon as you have them ready based on your celebration, and we would love to be a part of it, although virtually nga lang, ano. We
yeah,
cannot
yeah,
physically visit you there in Levin, but at least we can partake
yeah.
in your celebrations by viewing you online. Father,
Yes,
thank you very much again for being with me. I think that wraps up our topic for today, and I really appreciate the time, Father, that you've given me. So, for those people who are watching us or listening to us, and you want more information from Father Dennis, or you want to ask me more questions so that we can interview Father Dennis again, or if you have any other topics that you want to discuss in the show, please reach out to me. The email and other contact details are available. Samutsari Conversations with Mimi is on Facebook now, and obviously it's on YouTube as well as my other vlogs and other content there. Don't forget to support all the Guerrilla Podcast Syndicate podcast, both in the Philippines and in Australia. And I hope to see you in our next episode. Father, thank you very much again for your time. And good luck and all the
and
best for everybody in Levin.
thank you very much too for this wonderful opportunity.
Thank you, Father. Bye.
Bye.
If you find value in this episode, make sure you like and subscribe to be notified of new releases. If you have any questions or suggestions, please reach out to Guerrilla Podcast or send us an email at mimi@dinosocial.com. Spread the word and don't forget to tune in next time.